Hello people, welcome back on the channel. So, I'm basically here to talk about something you guys have probably been wondering about, which is why I have been really slow on the channel, and why I hadn't done a whole lot with my most ambiguous projects, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 The Twisted Ones, and Season 2 of the Angry Birds show. And this is gonna be a really serious video. So, I had been in a really convoluted situation since 2020. I've had so many projects that I wanted to make, like the Banana Split show, the Plants vs. Zombies miniseries, and the Pac-Man show, but all of those projects had been cancelled because I had lost interest in making them, among a few other reasons. They would be good projects to make, but there's just been too much that I had on my hands, and I just wanted to decrease the amount that I had. So now there's only two projects I wanted to focus on, which is finishing up the sequel to my Five Nights at Freddy's movie and end the Angry Birds show on a high note. The reason for all of that is because, well, I've already discussed this in a community post, but I know there are gonna be people out there who don't check it, so I'm just gonna go along with it anyways. So basically, I've been planning to reboot my entire channel after I finish up my two projects. See, why I'm wanting to do this is because I've been planning on what the future for my life was gonna be. Now, I'm not 100% sure it would ever happen because I know that there are gonna be some setbacks, but basically, I've been wanting to make actual films, and that when I'm older, I would have an actual movie studio making traditionally animated films. Why traditional animation is because, and this is actually something people have been talking about a lot recently, that type of animation is somewhat dead right now, at least when it comes to theatrical films. Hell, even Disney had to quit using it after The Princess and the Frog and the Winnie the Pooh film. The only ever times you ever get to see traditional animation in recent years is in TV shows or fan-made videos people create on the internet. And yes, I know there are some exceptions like Claws, but that film was made for Netflix, so that's a stretch. So, the point I'm trying to make here is that I feel like I could revive the popularity of traditional animation with my films, while also bringing something new to it. You pretty much know how I feel about modern animation from my recent video Randall Rabbit Rants about the tone of animation. See, I feel like animation, whether it was for kids or for adults, is often the same thing. It's loud and crazy and in your face and not focusing on the story that often. Now, it's not to say it makes animation look bad or anything. In fact, sometimes it does work, and that's why I enjoy old cartoons like Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes and all that. But, I don't know. I feel like it just makes it look completely overused and generic and not fresh. And it just, makes animation look like it's only made for, only one audience, which is kids. And look, I know there are some exceptions like Batman the Animated Series and the stuff that Pixar makes, but still, I just see most of the animation industry, mostly with the mainstream animation, to be the exact same thing. Like the last three Ice Age movies, Sausage Party, Teen Titans Go, Has-Been Hotel, and almost all the crap Sony Animation makes. So, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm wanting to make animated films, again mostly with traditional animation, to feel more like live-action films. Now, look, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, what are you talking about? Live action and animation are both different and should stay different. Well, look, you're probably thinking of live-action films from in recent years. I'm talking about live-action films from the early years of the 20th century, like things from the 40s and 70s, or whatever other timeline. Most live-action films from that time had a more slow and quiet tone to them, and mostly revolved around you just seeing people going about their everyday lives. There also wasn't a whole lot of music going along with it, minus the musical films, but you get my point. So Basically, the animated films I want to make would feel more like live action films from that time while still retaining the cartoony feel they always have, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've gone about rambling about animation and all that jazz, so what does this have to do with my channel? Well, like I said before, after Five Nights at Freddy's 2 The Twisted Ones and Season 2 of the Angry Birds show are done, I'll be reworking this channel entirely. I think it's pretty obvious that videos of me just waving plushies at the camera are not going to get me anywhere with my future. Hell, even my parents have been telling me that so many times, so my plush videos will be retired after I finish my 2 projects. Speaking of my 2 projects, let me explain what's been going on with those 2. I still want to make them, but like almost everything that I do around here, the production with them has become extremely difficult, mostly because of the new actors I've got for them. Crew2 Films, Mysterious Closet, and my closest pal, The Gang Plus Show. See, why they're related to the problem is because it's hard to get into contact with them, which results in a rather long time of them getting their lines done. Not trying to be rude or impatient to the guys if they're watching, but you get my point. So, both Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Angry Birds Season 2 are kinda gonna be delayed for a couple months. I'm gonna wait till the actors are out of school so they would have more time to get their lines out. I understand how disappointed you all are, but that's just how it goes. Life is not entirely easy, and I've been told that many times by my parents as well. Life is tough, and will always be tough. Oh, and also, the videos that will come out after my 2 projects are mostly just going to be random videos involving me, the channel's mascots, and a bunch of other stuff. But mainstream videos like films or shows won't be around for a while. Like I said, I want to do animation, and I want these projects to be in that format. But first, I gotta get an actual crew to get that accomplished. Not everything has to be a one-man job, you know, especially when it comes to animation. So, I've devised a way to do that. I've got a new account on Wattpad, which is where I'll be making stories that I could probably turn into actual films when I got the chance to do it. Not sure how that will work, but still, it's worth it, I guess. And like I said earlier, I'm also making these stories to see if anyone would be interested to take part in making my stories come to life. But I'm not going to be the only writer of these stories. I've asked my mother to probably help out with writing them and to fix problems they have. Cause I'll be honest, while I do have some clever ideas, I'm really not the best at storytelling. Most of the time, it's hard for me to come up with something original that I just try to find a story from another film and try to insert it into my story while changing a lot of it to make it my own thing. Which is kind of something that you may have noticed with one of my videos, but you get my point. Plus, I'm not very good at describing things. I am good at describing characters, but not so much with locations or objects or events that happen in stories. I kind of consider myself to be a little bit like George Lucas. He has great stories and a wonderful imagination, but doesn't know how to translate it well. Like, during the production of episode 4 of Star Wars, he had people telling him what to do and what not to do for the film. And if there wasn't anyone to tell him that stuff, he would end up making something like the Star Wars prequels. So, my mother will be helping me out with describing things while also helping me making the stories better and more original. Also, I'm not really gonna talk about what kind of stories I'll be making. One thing I am struggling with is to not announce something, especially when it's still in pre-production. I've done that so many times, like with the Banana Split show, and I'm gonna try and be more cautious with it. But one thing I can talk about is the audience I'll go with when this whole reboot stuff happens. I'm just gonna say it right now. My content is absolutely not for kids. Sure, there are some exceptions like my very early videos from around 2017 and 2018, but we pretty much know that that is because I was 10 years old when I made those. And you may have also noticed that in my recent videos I've been going with a more adult tone. like lots of dark moments, mild language, and a couple more. And the point here is that when I reboot my channel, I want to make it absolutely clear that my content is not at all for kids under the age of 13. Most of my content will be PG-13, and some others like horror content or more raunchy stuff will be rated R. There might be a few times I'll go with a PG format, but I'm going for PG-13 for most of my content. And now let me finish this video with the last thing I have to say. So, even though I said that my reboot will start after I finish Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Angry Birds Season 2, that will only be applied to my channel. Wattpad stories are probably gonna start before all of that happens, and on my Twitter account, I'll be advertising my Wattpad stories, while also tweeting art about them as well. YouTube, however, will have all of that when, again, the last 2 plush projects of mine are finished. So yeah, that's all I've got for you all. I think this video was really necessary, cause I hardly ever talk about the stuff that is going on in my life in video form, which is something I really want to do more often. And I just really want to say it right now, but 2020 and 2021 have been very stressful and insane years I've had, especially when it comes to my channel. Like I said before, life is tough and it will never be easy. The same applies with making film like this. It takes hours on top of hours to do these kind of things. This is also why, and I keep on saying this, I don't do release dates. It just rushes your project, and half the time, you wouldn't have the time for it, resulting in you not getting to that release date soon enough. Also, I think I should probably mention this as well, but I think I'm losing interest in doing the videos you guys mostly expect me to do. I still like doing them, and I'm always up for them, but I've been focusing more on writing and drawing, and sometimes I think that doing these 2 hobbies would be newer parts of my career that I would much rather focus on than making YouTube videos. It's not that I'm wanting to quit YouTube, but I think I've got other things I want to focus on more. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, everyone. Remember to like it, comment about it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, while also checking out my Twitter account, and of course my Wattpad stories when I actually do something on there. So take care, everyone.